Good evening, fellow ghouls and specters alike. Your ghost host with the most here, Tiki.
And BlueDragonFive, here to engage in some haunted holiday hijinks by trudging through the catacombs and dusting off the cobwebs as we recount our spooky selection of Halloween classics.
So light the jack-o'-lantern, suit up, and grab the candy dish as we revive and recount tonight's selection. Hey Arnold, Wheezin Ed. Maniacal laugh. Oh boy. All right, Dragon, we are back on track. About a week after debuting our first haunted holiday hijinks of the year, Garfield's Halloween Adventure, we are back with our first Nickelodeon installment of our lineup this year, that being our annual Hey Arnold creepy episode. Now, Dragon, of course, Hey Arnold has a slew of creepy episodes. We have covered The Haunted Train, we have covered Four-Eyed Jack, and I believe the original War of the Worlds Halloween special.
Yes.
Any others?
Pretty
sure that's it.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
All right, so we're on to. I really wanted to do Arnold Visits Arnie this year because that's just like that's scary on a whole different level. But we decided, like, well, let's kind of get through the supernatural stuff first, and then we'll work our way to the psychological stuff. So, you know, Arnold versus Arnie, or not Arnold versus Arnie. Arnold visits Arnie. Arnold v. Arnie. Dawn of creepiness.
No, but in all seriousness, yeah, we opted for the more Scooby-Doo of the two options on this one.
Yeah, which I gotta say, I'm not really like this episode is a lot of fun. It's got at least 2 or 3 one-liners that really crack me up. I don't necessarily think in retrospect, like rewatching this thing, it's the most appropriate for Halloween. I think this is probably one of the more, like, in terms of like the creepy Hey Arnold episodes, this is one of the more light in terms of like the actual creepy factor.
You know, Tiki, I was flip-flopping on this after we kind of reached the arrangement. I kept flipping back and forth of like, oh boy, should we go with the other one instead? Oh geez. And I kept flipping back and forth, but as I was watching it, just kind of really committing, just kind of watching it from start to finish. And I was like, I was resold on it as I was watching it. I really was like, you know what, actually, yeah, this is a good, again, it's very much kind of in that kind of Scooby-Doo kind of like, you know, it's a Scooby-Doo setup. At the very least, and it's I don't know, it has like a great kind of haunted segment of it, and the rest of it's just kind of connecting to that. It's more of a haunted adventure. It's a ghost. It's kind of a ghostly haunted adventure in a way.
Sure. Well, I'd say instead of doing our usual like Halloween tropes, I'd say like the tropes in this episode are more kind of just in the variety of like Hey Arnold. Creepy episodes of Hey Arnold, much like I'd say The Haunted Train, for my money, is probably the best example of this, but they all kind of follow a similar formula, which we'll sort of get into.
Yes. So without further ado,
all right. So I'd say one of the first things about that formula is pretty much a lot of the Hey Arnold creepy episodes. I don't want to say every single one of them, but a lot of them start on like kind of an average day.
Pretty innocuous.
Yeah.
So yeah, the gang is hanging out as, you know, it's like the pier. It's kind of the equivalent of Coney Island. I don't know if they actually are at Coney Island, but you know, they're at like a pier, like a boardwalk pier with, you know, like a lot of carnival games there.
Mm-hmm. I also like how this episode, like, you know, sort of being a predecessor to the Jungle movie, which I'm very excited about. You saw the trailer, right?
Did I see the? Yes, I've seen the trailer. Eve Little Faith, yes.
So this also kind of has that Jungle movie vibe where like I like how all of the main cast is in this episode, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we've got a lot of like little side stories going on. So that's a good thing about the episode is how many characters kind of have a role to play in it.
To be fair though, we are missing, you know, a substantial player in Stinky. Stinky is not there. Stinky's one of the greats.
Well, he's out, you know, watering his giant pumpkin.
Of course. Which, by the way, I wonder if that's one to do down the line, because there is a giant pumpkin involved, but it's not really creepy.
Right.
Anyway, back on points. Yeah, we checking with the gang here. We have Rhonda and Sid. And I got to tell you, I tell you, this episode, purely based on this episode years ago when I watched this for the first time, I don't know. Yeah, I didn't expect to really go anywhere. Just I kind of picked up on it a little. I thought that this episode seems to maybe they're trying to set up kind of like a Phoebe Gerald thing, or like kind of where there might be a spark there between Rhonda and Sid. They drop it. They drop it after this episode. It seems like they're trying to do that in this episode.
Yeah, it's funny. It's like I think this episode is like the first time that Phoebe and Gerald actually have a little bit of a spark, and then Rhonda and Sid. It's like no, not so much. And of course, Phoebe and Gerald are kind of like a famous ship in this series where it was a very subtle way in which they did it, which I think everyone sort of really respects. You know, how subtle their relationship was throughout the show starting here.
I personally would just like to think that they got the idea in this episode, and then they just realized. I'm sorry, I realize I'm just echoing what you just said, but no, seriously, though, it seems that we're just they kind of like they lost him. Hey, we're gonna set these two up, maybe do some stuff with them down the line. They realized, oh my god, this is such untapped potential. Gerald and Phoebe, let's just go with this. Screw that other story we were coming up with.
Right.
Let's do a tongue-in-cheek thing here, where Phoebe and Gerald actually had a secret relationship with the role of Hey Arnold. It was much more subtle than Helga's pursuit of Arnold.
Sure, yeah.
Anyway, so Rhonda and Sid, they have like a gag here. Basically, Sid, Rhonda throws a ball at a bottle, trying to knock it over to get a prize, and Sid says, "Oh, you throw like a girl." And of course, Sid makes a very ineffectual throw, and she, do you remember what she says?
No, I don't have a lot of the dialogue written down. You might have to help me out with that.
You throw like a shrimp with with stringy hair, a big nose, and big ears, and your hat on backwards. No, I don't. It's silly. Helga, meanwhile, was dying for some saltwater taffy, so candy. That's the only vague Halloween reference I guess we have.
Oh God!
So she's raring for some.
You
candy.
know that saltwater taffy was invented at the Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh, what do you know?
It was actually like they had a candy shop near the edge of the beach, and like salt water one day, like the tide was high and salt water kind of drifted into the taffy machine, and they were like, "Oh my God, the sweet and savory combination is great. Let's market this."
I think we've learned something here today, folks.
The more you know.
And we have Tiki here to thank for. Thank you, Tiki. We've learned about saltwater taffy.
Just like you learned not too long ago that Doritos were invented at Disneyland.
I know, I was blown away by that.
Right.
Anyway, so let's see. Helga, while she's hunting for saltwater taffy, importantly, Arnold, we kind of set up Elk Island here a little bit before Arnold kind of gets to do his curiosity, but he's just kind of. I love we started episode, the gang's hanging out there. Arnold's just kind of staring at Elk Island. Of course, Elk Island is location. I want to say this is the first episode we establish Elk Island.
I want to say so too. We might have seen shots of it, but it's definitely the first time we, establish like what it is. We go there on an adventure and stuff like that.
So let's see. So Helga, she wants some solitary Basically, she wants some alone time with Arnold. She wants some time alone with Arnold.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, Arnold. I'm sorry. Do you want to take through some of the Elk Island stuff?
Yeah, well, I really like the fact that Arnold is just kind of like wistfully staring off at Elk Island. He's just kind of like appreciating the scenery. It's a very quiet scene. You know what I mean? It's a very peaceful scene.
That's the thing you gotta respect about Hey Arnold years later is that they kind of it's
definitely
honestly some of the best things animated, especially looking back on them now, like Batman the Animated Series or Hey Arnold. They both have this similar quality where they do bask in the quiet moments. Batman, it's like a detective mystery, or it's like a mystery or detective story. You take your time visually putting things together. You slow down, which is uncommon in animation where it's pretty much gag based. It's like, okay, slapstick. Mm-hmm. Hey Arnold, it was like, we kind of bask in the whimsy here and there, just kind of like we build the atmosphere, which is going to pay off in the episode.
And that's one of the things I've always championed with Hey Arnold is the world building. Hey Arnold is one of the best animated shows when it comes to world building.
Absolutely, you betcha. So so Arnold is admiring Elk Island, and he's asking the pivotal question: why does no one go there?
Because Disney blocked it off. This episode totally reminds me of Discovery Island, Dragon. I gotta just get that out of the way right now. Especially with the cave, with the pirate entrance and the skulls and stuff.
All right, so Gerald actually gives the incendiary.
I actually have the whole story pulled up.
All right, well, let me just trigger.
Okay.
Gerald's answer is, well, one of the reasons is because it's haunted. And of course, I love the instinctually, because Gerald, of course, being the purveyor of the urban legends in the neighborhood, they all just swarm. Oh my God, Gerald just started an urban legend. Let's gather around. It's story time.
This is actually one of the few times that Sid doesn't give Gerald the big introduction because it's so spontaneous.
Does Sid have the bongo drums?
I don't think he had the bongo drums here.
No, not here. I'm just saying usually. Doesn't he have he's the one with the bongo drums?
Usually, yes. Usually, yeah.
I just wanted to clarify that. Okay, yeah, so let me get this in there, too. So I want to say this is one of my favorite urban legends, Gerald. Out of all the urban legends, it's actually one of my favorites.
I would say it's probably a solid number 3 behind Pigeon Man and I keep forgetting that the haunted train is a grandpa urban legend and not a Gerald one.
Are we sure Gerald told it's been a while since I've seen the Pigeon Man episodes.
Yeah, Gerald told Pigeon Man. Yeah,
okay, then you're absolutely right. Pigeon Man would probably trump this, but go on.
Okay. In the time of Prohibition, on the island they call Elk, there lived a gangster so ruthless that his name inspired terror all up and down the Skookmucker River. Skookamunk. I don't know. I'm sorry. They called him Wheezin Ed. Ed got his name from the wheezy noises he made just before he came up behind you and wrung your neck. Some say he wheezed because he suffered from chronic head colds. Some say the wheezing was caused by a chicken bone lodged in his throat. Some say he was just faking it. One thing's for sure, he buried his huge treasure in the damp dirt of those caves. No one has ever found it, though countless souls have tried and succumbed to an awful end, too hideous to be spoken of. For to find the huge treasure, one must descend into the haunted caves of Wheezin Ed.
So let's unpack this a little bit, because we also have some visual stuff going on.
The visuals are fantastic, I think.
So that is one of the reasons I think, two things. I think the visuals along with the story itself is the reason this episode, that's the main reason I chose this episode. A lot of the reason this episode is remembered by many people is this urban legend, how creepy and how just kind of, how atmospheric this, again, to me is at the very least, is my, again, I got to rewatch Pigeon Man to see how that urban legend
I would say visually, I would say the actual story in Pigeon Man is creepier. Yeah. But visually, this is more creative, I would say.
Because here's the thing. I think this might be the only time, if not the best example of, I think the other urban legends are animated. This is the one that is not animated.
You're right.
That's the reason this one is always one of my favorites, because this has that distinct honor of just kind of being it's just basically it's this sketchy kind of cross-hatched style. It's all kind of scribbly lines. But it's kind of like a shaded, scribbly kind of eerie. It's I love it. It's pulled. It's the most believable of the urban legends almost. It actually could have been a story about a Prohibition era gangster. I love how kind of rooted in reality it is to an extent.
Yeah, it sort of calls to mind old timey.
It's Al Capone essentially. It's a story. It's Hey Arnold's vision of Al Capone in a way.
Right. I was going to say, the visual style kind of calls to mind something like an old-timey, archived newspaper or something like that.
Yeah, it feels very much, I think the best screen, it looks like courtroom sketches. That's what it looks like.
Uh-huh. Okay.
You can see them Better Call Saul at some point. At least in the marketing, they got to do courtroom sketches of Saul. Anyway, But yeah, man, I love this whole thing. I love just the myth built around Wheezin Ed, the idea of this Prohibition era gangster, maybe choked on a chicken bone, hence the hence the wheeze and the fact that he's got this, this island full of caves, and it's like, like looking for Al Capone's wallet, essentially, with, the treasure of Wheezin Ed, who possibly resides on that island.
It reminds me of my Indiana Jones 5 pitch with Alcatraz, if I don't say so myself.
And of course, the funny thing, of course, we do have kind of a pirate theme going on here, somewhat, with the kind of the treasure buried on an island. Of course, Garfield.
Right. Yeah, that's true. That's
third
true.
act of the Garfield.
It's not just Ghost Dragon; it's pirate ghosts. Rick Sanchez's worst nightmare.
Yes, they are. Okay, but seriously, on the whole, I really love it. I think that's a large reason why we're doing it here today. It's such a fantastic segment of this, and as you watch it, I can't just be blown away by it. So, anyway, so then an old sea salt happens by.
I'm sorry. Oh, yeah. This guy.
Earl. Sheena's, like Gerald speculates, an old sea salt to prove my point. And then, of course, Arnold corrects him. No, it's just Sheena's uncle.
Like, one of the things I love about this episode is how creepy stuff instantly turns mundane.
Yeah, and this is, you're right, T. It's absolutely correct. And it's also kind of great that we establish, Earl here, because Earl comes back a lot, and he's always a lot of fun.
He does, yeah.
Yeah. And anyway, brings back, I got a small sample of the treasure. He basically shows what he believes to be a doubloon, and it kind of wows him all, like, oh my god, there is treasure on the island. Let's go. It kind of fuels the myth. So yeah.
You know what's funny about Earl is that this episode is paired with the DOS Subway episode, which has another kind of like eccentric, like old man character, and like the homeless guy who like starts up the musical number.
Who is voiced by Mark Hamill, by the way.
Yeah.
One of my favorite elements of the episode. Sorry.
Right. No, you're right.
But yeah, so basically, Earl says, he'll ferry them across the way. Like he'll kind of give them passage
for $1 a piece, $2 for Harold,
and also a 50 cents to rent the shovels with a
plus
5 cent deposit.
5 cent security deposit. Again, I love how entrepreneurial this guy is.
Yeah. That's great. So let's see. So the kids are heading to the island.
And this is another kind of like trope of the Hey Arnold creepy episodes. Is like it's always like something to spice up their day. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So let's see. You're absolutely right, especially with the 4-Eye Jack example there. Basically it's
well, at least they won't be bored.
Yep. Okay, let's see. So, and here's where the Scooby-Doo of it all enters right here.
Oh, yeah, big time. You're absolutely right, Dragon, now that I think about it. This might be, like, the most Scooby-Doo subplot.
So we have Maury and Vic. Vic
God.
is
not the dumbest criminals in any cartoon ever.
What this kind of occurred to me just with the name Vic and reverse it. Vic and Maury. Sound a little familiar?
Oh, God.
Think about it, they're the kind of your average, just kind of like your low rent criminal versions of
and they have a brilliant idea to have a counterfeit penny operation.
Yes, and it's so fun. I love how these guys get built into the history of Hey Arnold here, because these two guys they keep coming back and you keep adding the layers.
This episode actually establishes like quite a bit of Hey Arnold stuff.
They were downtown as Fruits. They've been there since the beginning, right?
Yeah, they've been here. I think this is definitely their most prominent role, though.
Well, it's actually when we learn at least what their names are here, but otherwise you're just kind of going.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, so it's it's Vic and Maury. There's basically these con men. They're very low level criminals, but also they're Oscar's poker pals. So these guys get around. They really do, and I just love that. I just love that fact that you can spot these guys. I love we build up these memories of these guys, and when we see them again, like, oh yeah, why you do that? Yeah. That's fun. So yes, they're using the island. Basically using the island myth as a smokescreen for their counterfeiting operation. Again, very Scooby-Doo-esque. Hey, let's use the holographic projector, scare people away while we secure the land. Ooh. Okay, let's see. So Earl says he'll be back by sunset to get the kids. The kids find another doubloon, which basically fuels their. Oh yeah, let's go in the caves. Look, there's another doubloon.
And like I said, the cave with the with the skulls at the end, it's just something totally out of Disney. I just had to laugh. It's like out of Pirates of the Caribbean or something.
If there was like a frayed Deathstroke mask, I would say it's Leon Yu, but it's not. Okay, but no seriousness. So basically, they enter the cave. I like kind of the simplicity of the design here. So basically, you enter the cave, you walk a ways, and then there are 3 paths, and of course they have to split up. Basically, Helga pulls a Fred here from Scooby-Doo, and she splits them up.
Right.
Okay, geek wads, here's what we're going to do. We're going to split up. So essentially they're boy-girl pairs. Unintentional, but they're boy-girl pairs. Because Harold, do you remember what Harold's excuse is, Tiki?
I don't remember the exact line, but I know that he's just, too afraid to go in.
He's basically, he's cowardly. He's standing guard because, I'm going to stand. I'm not going because since why am I pair with Rhonda? Why can't I be pair with Harold? Harold just quickly inserts, well, I got to stand guard because I'm the bravest.
Oh, God.
So here's the pairings. We got Sid and Rhonda. We got Gerald and Phoebe, of course. And we got Helga and Arnold.
I'm sure Helga did not intend for that to happen whatsoever.
And also, again, honestly, this is the first moment here where we see, if you look, and this might have been where it was born. Phoebe is really happy to get Gerald as her,
definitely.
Their buddy here. I mean, if this came before the Cheese Festival, then this was the first time, to my recollection. The Cheese Festival definitely that was the most overt implication that those two had a thing going on. So it was either this one or the Cheese Festival, whichever came first. All right, so let's see. So Arnold has a clever idea, Tiki.
Yeah, he makes a trail of jelly beans, which is... So I gotta say, Dragon, me and Monkey were watching this episode at his house, and it's been a while since I've seen this episode, but as soon as I saw the jelly beans and Harold standing there, I was like, oh, I know exactly how this is gonna go down. And Monkey even made a comment like I could just hear Harold saying, "But I was hungry."
I'm sorry. I'm remembering all the other times Harold has said that line.
Right.
Because I was hungry. And I'm hungry. Oh, God. I'm sorry. His delivery is just always so pathetic and over the top.
But I was hungry.
He thinks that's like the get out of jail free card. It's just so wonderfully stupid at times. It's just, anyway. So Arnold's leaving a trail of, smartly, he's kind of pulling a Hansel and Gretel here. He's leaving a trail of jelly beans so they can find their way back. Because you get 3 paths, at least they'll be able to find one path back. So Helga mocks this, as she tends to do, but then once Arnold's kind of out of earshot, she solidifies.
Oh, Arnold, so clever, so resourceful.
Then she prances away, just impressed by him.
Oh, lead me, Arnold, lead me.
So let's see. So Sid is pondering, if Wheezin Ed might be dead, because it's been many years, so yeah, might be dead. Rhonda
His
scoffs.
bones might be sitting in this cave right now.
Yep, kind of Rhonda initially scoffs at this, and of course they happen upon they happen upon some bones in the cave, and of course we have again a lot of Scooby-Doo in this because they pull a couple times. They pull the Scooby jumping up in the Shaggy's arms a couple times. Basically the threshold kind of basically the scared Shaggy threshold, I guess they call it. And again, this to me, the relationship nod would be here, but they completely drop it after this episode. This to me is like they're intimate. There might be something going on here.
Right.
The beginnings of something, but by no means has been established. Anyway, then they discover it is a bucket of
I like how the bucket of fried chicken has its own creepy connotations based on the urban legend, though.
Yeah, I know, that's cool.
Yeah.
Then of course she drops Sid like a bad habit, Meanwhile, Gerald and Phoebe takes through it. Remember?
Gerald and Phoebe. No, sorry, man. My notes are kind of, just with all the stuff going on. I don't.
Right. Basically, they're both marveling at the cave. They're saying, "Oh man, look at this cave!" And again,
they're basically becoming science buddies.
Yeah. And Gerald fears, and again, this is kind of a neat thing. Again, Gerald's kind of making small talk with Phoebe, getting some stuff there, and Gerald fears falling down a giant hole, and this is good foreshadow for what happens ultimately.
Oh yeah.
And then Phoebe, again, as smart as Phoebe is, she's going to be proven wrong later, but she basically says, based on the formation of this cave, she scientifically, she doubts that, like a geological perspective, basically doubts that these holes would form around the corners anywhere, which comforts Gerald, like, oh, cool. Meanwhile, Harold.
Okay, oh god, so Harold's stomach is growling, and he has maybe the line of the episode. You want to say it, Dragon?
Praise Thor the Thunder God!
Then Chris Hemsworth, he has like a mug, right? Like a see-through mug that's filled with jelly beans, and he slams it down, and he's like, another!
Oh god, he's
Part Howard Hamlin, Howard Hamlin and Thor give a toast. Like Howard Hamlin's got like a jelly bean flavored tea of some kind. I don't know.
Oh god, no! Here's the ridiculousness of it. He has his tea. Basically, they're sitting down like a little mini table. Here's like a little table between the giant that is Thor and kind of like Howard Hamlin's a tall guy, and basically he's just can I have a few of those? He basically grabs a couple of jelly beans, he puts it in his tea, he takes a swig. But no, here's the thing: is he's drinking the tea in a giant mug like Thor's got. Now, then of course after he takes a sip, like a moment passes. They both throw their glasses down, like shatters all over the place. And they both say in unison, "Another."
Okay.
But seriously, imagine this though. Just Thor though. He's just saying, "Enjoy those jelly beans I bestowed upon you, child. Round child, enjoy them. Bask in the Asgardian beans." Anyway.
Oh, I knew we were going to go down a bit of a rabbit hole with that line.
Well, there's a lot of caves, so it's kind of part of the
right.
Anyway, okay, so see, one thing I got to hit with there. Back on track. Is that Harold? I just love the stupidity of this here. Harold, he's confused of what the deal with the jelly beans are, because of course Arnold just mentioned.
Maybe if I ate a few more, I'd remember.
He thinks they're brain food. He thinks the jelly. Hey, I'm gonna eat this substance I completely forgot about. I'm just gonna eat something I just randomly found on the ground. Hopefully, to remember why they're there. He's eating the trail to remember, which of course, we'll see where that leads. So, let's see. So, it's the two pinheads.
Right?
What?
Oh no, never mind.
The two pinheads, Maury and Vic, not Vic and Maury, because that would sound something else.
Again, they're kind of like it's like Maury kind of considers like, hey, wait a minute, like we've already spent like $900 on supplies, not to mention all the time and labor needed to like carve the little faces on the pennies like individually.
Yeah, Maury just points out the intent.
I love how these crooks are somehow more stupid than Harold in this episode.
Of course, one of them does look a little bit like Harold.
Right.
But basically, just so I love this. To me, is another line stealer of the episode for me. Is how ridiculous this is. Just Vic's line to Maury here. Maury's pointing out the logic here. Like, does this really justify our labor working on these things? Why not? Basically, he suggests, hey, let's should we move up to dimes. Then Vic, very offended. I love how offended he is. Dimes.
Oh, next thing you know, you're going to be moving up to quarters.
Yeah, lousy mug, let's get out of here. Yeah. What next? Quarters? He's just so offended by it. Oh, God, what idiots. So, Helga bumps into Arnold, and actually, sorry, I'm just trying to remember here if, is this when she works up the courage, or is that at the end of the scene?
I think this is when she works with the courage. Because Arnold's saying we should probably split up because they get to the two passages. Right,
because Helga. Here's what happens. Helga bumps. You're right, Tiki. So Helga bumps into Arnold. She makes a fuss about, watch where you're going football. I can't believe I'm stuck in the worst day ever. Yada yada yada. Arnold suggests taking separate tunnels. Again, they're like, I don't want to deal with this lady. She's just, gosh, she's gonna kill me. I get on my nerves this whole episode. Helga then essentially. Helga then laments, what have I, woe is me, how could I treat my beloved so horribly, essentially, and then basically, and this is a big moment for Helga, of course, it's going to be deflated instantly, but she kind of works up the courage, I'm going to tell him about my feelings, which is a big moment for Helga. So she catches up to Arnold, she is about to tell him, and then they're interrupted by...
Oh, God. By a certain familiar heavy breathing.
This to me was brilliant. This is the way to use this character.
This is I think this might be my favorite brainy moment in the whole series. For me.
It is the most natural, is the best execution of brainy ever. So basically, we have the ultimate Scooby-Doo jump here, where Helga jumps into Arnold's arms. Of course, she's happy with that, but while she's that, she gives off this signaling shriek, like ah, it echoes to the other caves and summons the group. It's that loud. Uh, I love this. Phoebe springs into action as Helga's bodyguard, essentially, with a flashlight. Again, flashlight jujitsu, essentially. Oh, God, just doing flashlight jujitsu, and it reveals, again, it's very obvious who it is, but of course they truly reveal.
Oh, yeah, I mean, you can, like, straight up see him, and, he's like...
I know! And it's Brainy, the old unison saying,
Brainy!
And it's just like, what are you doing here? Of course, Helga brushes off.
Oh, God, I'm just dragging. I just can't get over the delivery and the timing on this.
So what does he say, Tiki? So they say, Brainy, what are you doing here?
Something. It's like, that is like just the most cryptic answer. It's like, he could be like burying dead bodies for all we know.
That is true.
God.
So let's see. So, again, really clever use of Brainy. And of course, afterwards, Helga, she kind of brushes off the whole.
I love how once they fall into the caves, like, Brainy just disappears from the episode. He just, like, stays on the island.
That is quite scary.
Like, no, legitimately, Brainy is the most scary part of this whole episode because it's like, because he's just doing something on the island, like something very I don't know, whatever he's doing, it's got to be like kind of creepy, like,
I'm gonna throw you a creepy, crazy fan theory here. All right. I don't know if anyone else is having upon this. This is me just kind of throwing some out there. What if can you travel through shadows? You see, that's it, because he keeps emerging from shadows and from.
Oh, man.
It's like Pitch from the. It's like, what if it's like Pitch from Rise of the Guardians, where he can travel through the shadows. He's like, he's just, of course, after he gets punched, imagine this every time Brandy's gotten punched. We kind of seemingly he falls out of frame, but he gives like a look of like next time. He disappears into the shadows.
I don't think a character like Brady would fly today, honestly.
Well, of course,
not the stalker quality to him.
Today, no, it would never. Like, then again, we have Onion, so it's unclear.
Oh God, no, yeah, but Onion isn't like as directly like a stalker. You know what I mean? Like, Brady is pretty advertently a stalker,
right?
But
anyway, back on point. So again, Brady fan theory.
Something.
One brainy tangent later. So again, Helga's he's brushing off, being held by Arnold. Say, "Oh, get off me, would you?" So as they give up after seeing Brainy of it all, there's no Wheezin Ed. That's the closest thing we got to a Wheezin Ed. That was just really disappointing. So they're about to give up, and Arnold's like he's walking out. Just right before he can give up, he falls down a giant hole.
Mm-hmm.
And he slides down there, and they all kind of the rest kind of slide down in tow, and they fall into Scrooge McDuck's Batcave, essentially.
Pretty much, yeah.
It's a low rent Batcave too. It's a low rent Batcave. It's like that's Scrooge McDuck's disc. It's Scrooge McDuck's counterfeit Batcave full of quote unquote doubloons.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, so they all bask in the treasure, all kind of dancing around. They're all prancing. They're throwing the money. Money will fall from the sky. They're throwing the in the air. Sid's filling his hat with them. They're making copper angels. This to me, I love this kind of this. I call it like the wine stomping. I don't really have a better term for it. It's like the old process, like a prospect in the old Western base. It's like when you're those people that stomp the wine to make the grapes into the wine.
Right.
They're linking arms and they're running around like all happy go lucky on top of a mountain of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Doing like a wine stomping jig. Then of course Helga says Huzzah! Transition. And of course Cheryl
notices all the coins are pennies, but not just pennies, but badly forged pennies with. I love how the giveaway is like the smiley faces on the pennies.
We could use more. Dude, actually, none of the presidents are smiling on the coins, are they?
What?
Yeah, no one's ever smiling on the coins, are they?
No.
Yeah. You know what? I know. I'm sorry. It was about the question why I remember A Million Ways to Die in the West. The explanations like, oh yes, it's because they. it takes forever to get your picture taken in the olden days. So yeah, that's why no one smiled in those pictures. There's a brief absurd tangent. Anyway, so Gerald and Arnold, they discovered the counterfeit pennies. Who would be stupid enough to do counterfeit pennies of all things? And of course, hey, you kids! And then Tiki. There's the thing.
Oh,
okay,
God.
hold on. Okay, so Tiki. Well, that Thor the Thunder God line is great. This actually, I think, does steal the episode. I think the Thunder God.
Absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely.
This is the most for me.
On it is perfect.
Tiki, when I think of this episode, I think of two things. One, I think of the Wheezin Ed, urban legend. But the thing I think of first, this thing is the first moment I think of. I think everyone thinks of this moment when they think of this episode.
I think so too. Yeah, this is definitely the biggest meme of the episode.
Sid's line is perfect here. Here's the line. So, so basically, I'll set it up for you. So enter Morty and Fix saying, "Hey, you kids!" Basically saying, "Hey, they found the stash. This is good. Our criminal activities have been exposed." And then we have the line that Sid utters in reaction to these two strange men. Go on.
It's Wheezin Ed and some other guy.
Just the pause after and some other guy. And the Tiki, this is good kid writing.
It's so simple.
But Tiki, this is really it's appreciated here. This is good kid writing. This is how you write kids.
Sure.
You get these hilarious, absurd lines that make all the sense in the world without having kind of overplay your hand with something like at times Rugrats could go. Sometimes Rugrats have to overplay their hands, kind of kidifying, not even babyfying.
You all know how I don't like dill pickles, Clark.
That's what I'm saying. Even in the olden days, they'd have to kind of go the extra mile to make things sound more baby-esque, and we get more and more apparent as it went on. And this is how you do it naturally. With I know it's tomato babies and kids, but still, it's like getting that language is nailed down so well. Okay, so anyway, they all flee. And some other guy, and they flee from there. Again, very Scooby-Doo-esque. Again, they have no reason to. Well, in this case, compared to Scooby-Doo, they actually do have a little bit of a reason to flee because these are grown men who are chasing them. So I guess there's a little bit more reason to flee. It's always my gripe with Scooby-Doo. Why do they run? No one has guns in Scooby-Doo. No one ever has guns in Scooby-Doo. You don't have to run.
I fully buy into the Great Depression theory of Scooby-Doo, by the way.
I haven't heard that, so explain it to me later. Anyway.
Okay.
So they follow the jelly beans, and Arnold has the great idea. Okay, guys, follow the jelly beans. They'll lead out of here. Follow them. And then, of course, they run into Harold. I love that they run over him initially. They bump into Harold. They run him over as he's basically eating halfway eaten. Then this.
By the way, it's a good thing that they went in a perfectly straight line with the jelly beans, right?
Well, remember, it went straight, and then of course they. No, I think it makes sense. There was like a trail, then it splintered off in the caves.
Right.
So let's see. So basically, as they're running, then Harold says, "Oh God, the two guys are chasing us!" And then he runs, and then Harold trips. Now here's an animation mistake, though. There are stairs all of a sudden.
Are they? I didn't even notice that.
I'm pretty sure we didn't have stairs because when they're leaving, there are tons of stairs. If you look when they're leaving, because there's a stairway that leads up from the cave. I see that. That one makes sense. There's a stairway leading up, but apparently when they're walking in and out of the cave, there were stairs that were not there before.
Okay.
So Harold trips again with the stairs because they needed a reason for him to fall on an incline. They needed stairs. So because otherwise it'd be flat. So Harold trips and he chases the rest out like the boulder from Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yes.
And this is hysterical. Honestly, when I think of Harold, it's like one of my if there are Harold moments, it'd be like one of the top 10. It'd be like number 10, I guess. Just Harold rolling like the boulder from Raiders, and he bowls them all over. And you hear like the little whoosh, pin crash. Now before they do in the gang, before they do in the kids, Vic and Morty, the police arrive and go for the arrest.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you noticed this. I love the fact that the cops took their shoes off to wade through the water.
I also love how the cops discovered the operation because the sailor
Earl was tipped.
Yeah, Uncle Earl wanted he tried to buy something with the counterfeit.
Yeah, fish and chips. He was getting fish and chips, and he was tipping the waitress. Here's the thing: he didn't even call her the waitress. He was tipping the wench at the fish and chip stand.
Oh God,
the wench. And the counterfeit pennies, and vice versa. At least the cops, essentially. So And again, the responsible cops, even though we have this hilarious we kind of make the cops look a little stupid here, and I think it's funny. Where basically the kids, get these kids on a boat and get them out of here. And while I Maramba rise them.
Right.
I read them their Maramba. Right. It's like make it sound like samba, like Maramba. Do the Maramba. Do the Maramba rights. Anyway, so we have our ending. Tiki, remember the ending?
Yeah, I mean, of course, this is another classic trope of Hey Arnold. I'd say pretty much every creepy episode of Hey Arnold ends kind of like this.
What was Haunted Train? Do you remember Haunted Train was before this one?
Oh yeah, Haunted Train was one of the very early episodes.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Yeah, that makes sense. I'm sorry. Keep going with it.
So basically, Arnold and Gerald are like, oh, well, I guess there was no Wheezin Ed after all. And then, of course, we cut to the cave and we hear the wheezing. Ambiguity, folks. Gotta love it. All right.
And it's not only wheezing, it's kind of wheezing laughter, too, which is kind of creepy.
So,
yeah, that's the end of the episode.
Yeah. All right. Dragon, like I said, probably out of the stuff we've covered so far for Hey Arnold, this is definitely like the least Halloween-centric. But, I mean, you're right. It's got just enough of a good, like, kind of a creepy tone and atmosphere to it. The story, especially in the animation, is really good. Of course, just in terms of the comedy, like this episode's got some really great comedic beats to it, especially with like the brainy and then the herald of it all. And overall, it's definitely a solid episode. I'm glad we revisited it. This is one I haven't seen in quite a long time. So
now let's just say, folks, with our picks, we are kind of we are connecting some very subtle themes here that will pay off by the end of Haunted Holiday Hijinks. So there are some clues here.
Yeah,
we go to an island.
Right.
Think about, we go to an island. We have to sail to an island. We have sort of some kind of a vaguely Scooby-Doo-esque plot going on. A lot of rowboat action going on there. Again, they've got some subtle things we're connecting, and so keep that in mind. That's all.
Any other teases for the next one, Dragon?
Okay, so the direct next. I'm just saying that's a kind of a grand scheme for the big finale, folks. So again, the next one. Oh boy, next one's that's going to be really. So I just want to make sure we're hitting the Disney one next, correct?
Yes.
Oh yes, I can't wait for this one, folks. Oh boy. We're I can tell them. Should I tease them or tell them?
Well, last time we told them it was a Hey Arnold episode, but we didn't tell them which one. So,
all right. So I guess just tell them the show and just basically kind of tease. Well, okay.
Do whatever you want to do, man. It's your pick. It's like it's more up your alley than my alley. So.
Folks, we're going to cover an episode of Buzz Lightyear of Star Command. And Buzz Lightyear of Star Command, famously, they have like a series, almost like a Universal kind of horror series, if you will, like a Universal horror series of. They've been building up kind of their established monsters. There are a few old school kind of Universal monster influenced characters in the Buzz Lightyear Star Command kind of villain pantheon. Buzz Lightyear Star Command has a lot of really cool, diverse villains, and we've had we've talked about the Wirewolf before. We've talked about the Wirewolf, and we've talked about one of my favorites, Nosferatu.
I really like Nosferatu as well,
and of course with the solid voice cast too, because we have Stephen Heitner. Yeah, it's Heitner. The one he was Kenny Banya from Seinfeld. He was the Wirewolf, and of course we have the great Craig Ferguson as Nosferatu. So let's just say we're going to loop in the other of the great monsters. We're going to cover kind of like one of the best episodes where the monsters meet each other. It's a hugely important episode for Buzz Lightyear Star Command, and I'm so eager to talk about it because it's one of my it's one of the great ones. Honestly, it's a high point in the series. So.
And also, just as another little tease, the idea of a group of monsters coming together is another kind of like thematic tie that a lot of our selections have. So,
so looking very, very, very forward to that.
All right, folks. Well, that concludes tonight's spooky selection, and our spirits grow weary. But don't worry, they'll be stronger than ever next time as we engage in even more Haunted Holiday Hijinks! It's Wheezin Ed and some other guy!